Hey! So, today we will be talking about the first superhero crossover between Marvel and DC, which was Spider-Man. Sorry, let me get this title correct. Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man. The Battle of the Century. Not sure why they used versus because obviously the two are working together, but whatever. Um, so this was published in 1976, and essentially Superman's fighting Lex Luthor in Metropolis, Spider-Man's fighting Doc Ock in New York City, and both villains get sent to a super security prison where they meet and decide to combine forces in order to conquer the world and kill both of their respective heroes. Um, with their combined abilities, they escape prison. Um, and then Peter and Mary Jane are at a press conference in New York City, um, where Clark Kent and Lois are also there because they're newspaper people. The way this was woven together is actually not terrible. These were two really good heroes to kind of pair together, especially at the time. Um, and then when Lois goes off on her own, as she's one to do, she climbs on a catwalk and falls. Spidey, Peter, is the one that saves her. And then Lex Luthor, disguised as Superman, swoops in and shoots a teleportation ray, um, teleporting Lois and Mary Jane to an unknown location. Luthor flies away, and both Peter and Clark follow him and change into their respective super costumes. So essentially, the women are the damsel in distresses. Both of their villains are after them. It's a very classic comic booky story. It's pretty well written, and though it has been deemed non-canonical because there's no way to explain how Metropolis and New York have never intersected before, through other like alternate universe comic books and comic book storylines, that storyline has been referenced in What If #1 in 1977. The Watcher shows glimpses of different universes, and among those universes, Spider-Man is about to receive a punch from Superman. So we see kind of a glimpse of this first issue. And then in Avengers Forever #8 in July of 1999, the scene with Doc Ock carrying Lex Luthor out of prison appears. And then in Mosaic #4 in 2017, one of Spider-Man's memories depicts him unleashing a flurry of punches against a partially obscured Superman. So operating under the widespread belief at this point that Spider-Man is an outlaw, Superman blames him for the disappearance of Lois and MJ. And so Superman flies away from him, leaving Spidey behind, trying to analyze the situation. And then, still hidden, Luthor fires a ray gun. God, ray guns were so popular in early comic books. Please read earlier comic books. They're so camp and terrible, and I love them so much. He fires a ray gun at Spider-Man, covering him in like light similar to what's emanated by a red sun. And the red sun radiation degrades Superman's powers and enhances Spider-Man's. It's such a good comic book story. Please go read this. Find it somewhere. Allowing Spider-Man to land several punches, staggering Superman until the effects of the radiation wear off. Yeah, this is kind of a buck wild storyline, but it's also so good. There's even a sequel to it, Superman and Spider-Man. A sequel to this story was published in 1981. And I mean, the crossover episodes, sorry, I watch a lot of TV. The crossover comics are always fun. And the creators of this particular crossover in 1976 was Jerry Conway. Jerry Conway and Ross Adrew, who had both individually worked on Superman and Spider-Man, respectively. So they did understand the characters and already know who they were working with. And there's actually a lot of similarities in the stories between Superman and Spider-Man. So for them to cross over was really cool and really fun. And yeah, it's definitely worth the read. So that was your first ever superhero crossover, was Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man.